There we go. What about now? Can you guys hear me okay now? Voice okay? You can hear the guitar, everything. I just made a change, so let me know if you can hear my voice okay. Thanks, Oliver. So you can hear everything. Everything is good. Cool. I didn't have my mic turned on in OBS. Sorry about that. So yeah, back to the beginning. So yeah, I'm just doing this. I'm talking about this preset today, and it's aptly titled Mid-Gain Prog. And so as you can tell, it is not a super high gain sound. It's got some good breakup, but you know, it's not so much that there's no definition in the notes that I'm playing and stuff. So I think it's really good for like the modern prog rock type stuff. What's up, Nick Bell? Hey, buddy. Good to see you, man. You know, a lot of the newer stuff, what they call prog rock now or math rock now, it's not the same as what they used to call prog rock, I guess. But you know, there's a lot of riffage going on with the guitars, and you want it to have a little bit of bite to cut through and give it a kind of an aggressive rock sound, but it's still it's not super saturated. And I will say, well, I'll just get right into the preset, and then I'll mention a couple of side notes that is helpful. So let's go over here to, and I'm also using Pod Go, by the way, so sorry if I forgot to mention that, but I think it's in the title. Using Pod Go, which sounds great. Bet you thought it was Helix. So here we go. We're looking at the Pod Go edit now, the desktop editor. And what's up, Ed? Ed Good. Ed Bueno. The most important factor would be the amplifier, so let's click on that. It's the good old Line 6 Litigator. This is such a great sounding amp. It's one of my favorites from the HX family, you know, stuff that we're putting out these days. And I don't recall how it's set when you're in factory. I can go back to the factory setting and just like, let's just go to a blank preset and see what happens when you first put the litigator in there. If I can find it, it's down here somewhere. There we go. Okay, so obviously there's no noise gate. You want to turn that on, or the input gate. Now then, back to this guy. So when it comes out of the box, it's set like this. Nice right out of the box, and you know, it's a little bit bright, so I'll usually roll back on my tone knob a bit. Let's see what kind of mic. We've got the 112 US Deluxe. We've got a 160 ribbon mic. So now let's go back over here to mine and compare the two. I've got the drive down a bit in mine, obviously, compared to the factory setting. And I have the EQ. Whoops. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. That was funny. The EQ is a little bit different. Normally I have a lot more mid-range. I'll usually put more mid-range into stuff than I do bass and treble, but for this I kind of wanted it to have a little more of a classic guitar EQ, and a lot of guys would probably tend to EQ their amp more like this than what I would normally do, like as you accidentally got a shot here of the famous Tony 1 preset. This is a more jazzy sounding preset, and you'll notice I've got the mid-range way up to 7.5, and then the bass and treble are dramatically lower. The drive is a lot lower, and I probably have the 4038 ribbon mic, which I think I've kind of gotten over the 4038 because it's so dark. It actually doesn't quite translate when I'm recording and stuff as something like a ribbon mic, like the 160 or 120 or 121. But it still sounds really good. Check this out. Nice, but it's very specific. So with the mid-gain Prague preset, I have the bass and treble way higher than I normally would, and there's more of that than there is mid-range. But the mid-range is still up pretty high. I'm not sure what you guys usually prefer when you're doing this sort of stuff, but this is what I have going here for now. And then the presence is up a little bit high, but I'm trying to kind of compensate for not using a lot of saturation. I still want to have some bite and be able to cut through. And I'll tell you something, sometimes the bias sounds really good if you turn it way up. It gives it a little more of a Class A sound. This is just kind of right in the middle, but it sounds really cool if you crank the bias up as well. And I'll let you hear that real quick. Let's see. Let's crank this bias up to 10. So you can tell there's a, it's kind of cool having that Class A tendency going on in the amp. Maybe I'll pop over to the humbucker. Pretty nice with all that bias. I may leave that like that, but you know, just to stick to what we're doing today, I'll leave it how I had it set, right there in the middle. What else interesting is going on here? Let's look at the cabinet. Now, like I said, I have a 121 ribbon mic in front of this guy, and I've kind of gotten more into the 160 and the 120 lately, just because they're a little brighter, a little more. I don't know, I feel like they have a bit more presence or something. I don't know. I feel like they just, you can almost hear the woodiness in the tone, if that's maybe sounds silly, especially on this single coil setting. And then I'll go over here to the middle position. It's really nice. Nice, you know, it's got a nice earthy sound. So this is the meat and potatoes of this whole preset, and as you can see, I'm playing some pretty busy stuff to kind of show that even though there is some breakup and some overdrive in there, you can still, there's still plenty of articulation. You can play chords. Cool stuff. Okay, so got the 121 ribbon mic. It's right there by the cabinet. Cool stuff going on. Now then, some other things I have going on this. So the very first of my chain, I'm running this red squeeze, and I'm not like a huge compression person, but I've found some pretty interesting uses for it over the years. But I noticed that for this particular thing, this is also just due to the characteristics of the musical genre that, you know, I named the preset after. Having a compressor helps when you're doing like the tapping, two-handed tapping type of stuff, when you're not using your pick hand and you just need to have everything, you know, a little more balanced, which is what a compressor does. It brings the kind of strengthens some of the weaker notes and might cut off a little bit of the strength from the stronger notes. Whatever kind of lick that is, I don't really know what that is. So when you're just doing those kind of licks, it's kind of nice to have a compressor. What's up, Doc Brown in the house? Good to have you in here, man. I don't feel like I've seen that Doc Brown pop up in a while, so good to see you, Doc. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, there's just kind of how I use the compressor, and we can check it out without the compressor. Still pretty nice. I mean, I don't have the compressor doing a whole lot of work. Compressor just gives it, you know, it's like a little more sustain and stuff without having to go to the overdrive pedal. Let's take a look at the reverb that I have going here now. This is the Searchlight, and you know, this is an awesome reverb, but I'm just curious. I don't know. There's a lot of these reverbs would sound good, I suppose. This is just one of the newer ones, the Searchlights. I like them all. I like Cave Reverb, the Plateau Reverb, Dynamic Hall Reverb. There's that's a really good one there, the Dynamic Hall. Glitz sounds great, but yeah, let's just keep it where it is. better come out of it now and then go back, since I touched all those reverbs. Yeah, so let's look at the settings there. Kind of a lot of reverb going on. The mix 22, in my mind, that's a lot of reverb. But you may like more, I don't know. But the decay is at 6, so I mean, 6 decay set to 6, and then the mix at 22%. That's a pretty good amount of reverb, as you can tell. Turn that delay off. Very nice ambient verb. For a little more ambiance, we can add this delay, and I just used simple delay here, and I've got it set to quarter note for whatever tempo I tap in there. Right now it's just kind of default at whatever that is, whatever speed that is. Now, one last thing. So just in case you want, oh, and just so you see, 18% feedback, mix at 24%. So again, that's kind of a high level of delay to me. I mean, unless you're doing specifically to be doing a lot of ambient stuff, that's a good amount of delay. And if all of these things are still not getting you, you know, what you want, then I did throw in the Horizon drive. And by the way, I have this preset posted in the comments up top. But when I loaded this preset to custom tone, I don't remember. I may have been using a different overdrive pedal at the time. So if you don't like whatever overdrive pedal I have in there, try the Horizon drive. This is an interesting pedal because it kind of has a crush. It does like this crushing kind of thing, or like almost like an old school fuzz. There's some sort of nuance in the breakup that's just really unique. You can hear it right there. It's just really spongy and dark, you know. And of course, part of that has to do with how I have it set, with this bright control a little below halfway. If you're curious about the attack, set to 2. The drive is not set up super high either, but it's still enough. I'm on the neck position humbucker right now. Let's see here. It looked like Ed had a question. Sounds nice. What amp are you using? In case you missed out on the first of the presentation, I'm using the Line 6 Litigator. And there's the settings for it. Drive 4.9. Might as well be 5. Bass at a little over 6. Mid at about 6. Treble a little more than 6. I mean, they're all pretty close to each other. I took a little bit of mid out just to give it a little more definition. Presence about 7.5. Let's see, and yeah, I think bias, hum, all that stuff is kind of set to the factory, just settings for that. So that's the amp. But and now back to this Horizon drive. This is a newer pedal. Came out a couple of updates ago or something, but I just really fell in love with it. It's not for everything. Sometimes I'll use this one with another pedal and stack it. But let me get rid of that. There we go. Yeah, thanks for your question, Ed. Sometimes I'll stack it with like the Tima or the Minotaur. Any of those, they sound good. But really, how much distortion do you really need? This is a lot of distortion, really. Kind of wank, and you don't have to like really. I can slur all that stuff and it's coming over fine. So to me, that's plenty of overdrive. Sounds good on the single coil position as well. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. So that's it in a nutshell, or maybe not a nutshell. I don't know. I think that was pretty detailed. But yeah, that's my mid-gain Prague preset for Pod Go. You know, it's about a third of the price of Helix, which is nice in these times. So, you know, for any of those of you, I would assume a lot of you watching probably already are into Pod Go if you knew what I was talking about today. But if not, check out the Pod Go, because this thing is, just so you can see it here. Here, let me, I don't know if I can actually get it in the shot here, but I mean, you know, it's very small and very lightweight, and it's great. So, you know, it does a lot of the same things that Helix will do, and for the price, you just can't beat it. I think this tone is really, really nice. We got an interesting question here. Let's see. How might you alter this preset for classic prog? Okay, so hello Ramon from Barcelona. Thank you. Okay, so when I hear the word classic prog, I think of two things. I think of what is now classic prog would be Dream Theater. I mean, that was prog in between, like, well, there was no prog between like the 80s and early 2000s, I feel like, except for Dream Theater. And they were essentially a metal band to me. Their sounds are like a metal band. Now, if you want to go to real classic prog, I would say Yes. Yes is the band. Yes, that's a classic prog band. To me, that's the classic prog band. You can keep most of the other prog bands, but I think Yes is like the greatest thing ever. Along with, you know, Led Zeppelin and the Beatles, stuff like that. But as far as bands go and classic bands, especially in the word prog, I think of Yes. So, okay, yes, yeah, King Crimson, Genesis. I'm just going to kind of base that question off of Yes, because I've listened to a ton of Yes. I have like most of their albums, at least from the 70s. And it's a completely different animal. You know, I wouldn't even use this guitar. Although you could get away with this. This guitar is very versatile, so it would work for just about anything. But you know, Steve Howe played a 175, so again, you go using some kind of high gain preset with a 175, and you're in dangerous territory, just because, you know, if you've ever played a big hollow body like that, that's just a feedback monster. So they really, you can't, you know, you turn them up too loud, you're not going to need a distortion pedal because they're so resonant, you know, they have so much sustain. I would say if I was going to try to go for a Steve Howe kind of preset, at least like a classic Steve Howe thing, I feel like you could get away with just about any, like a Fender amp or even a Marshall amp. and probably not a lot of distortion. He had such an interesting tone. Some of his stuff, like on the Relayer album, man, he had like some very unforgiving guitar tone, like in those sections where he would take like a solo break where it would just be like him shredding with no music behind him, just playing freeform lead guitar. And it's like he's on the treble position, like on the bridge pickup. There's a lot of breakup, but it sounds like just an amp really cranked up with that 175. Man, that tone does not give you anything. Was it Relayer? I think you meant Relayer was a Telly. I would totally buy that because here, let me put that up here. Because he's got that Telly sound on that, so it's a very bright, unforgiving sound. So I could get away with using this guitar for that. This guitar will totally do that, or a Telly or something. But yeah, other than that, I'd probably just go with like the Fender Deluxe, or maybe the Twin, or even a Marshall. I don't really know what kind of rigs he was using on those albums, other than the guitar he played. But there's for sure I had a teacher one time at UNT that said Steve Howe sounds like he's never listened to any other guitar players, and I was like, that's true, and that's an interesting thing to say because you can't say anybody else plays like that, or he doesn't sound like anybody else, but also he sounds like a lot of different people. He's got a lot of influences, but that, if you don't sound like anybody else, that must mean you're pretty unique. So that's an interesting thing. I'll have to do some more research on what kind of rigs Steve Howe was using back in the day. Let's pitch to see how good it is. Clean sound. Use the simple pitch to see how good it is. Well, I guess we could probably do that. I think you're asking just to like throw in the pitch effect in there. Let me turn off this overdrive, and I'll go and replace let's see. I'll replace the delay. Let's see. And you said I may not have enough DSP to do it anymore. Let's get rid of this. And then, yeah, it looks like I've run out of DSP for that. I can get rid of this guy. Now let's try it again. Okay, simple pitch. Probably don't. I don't know. Maybe I can put it there. Oh yeah, I want to get rid of this delay too. I want to change that over to reverb for the sake of simple pitch. Let's just do dynamic hall. How about? Awesome. I love the dynamic hall reverb. Okay, now, this is set at like an interval here. I don't ever really use pitch effects. Here, we still got that, yeah. I don't really ever use those for like harmonizing stuff. It's kind of risky territory. Dave, no, it is sevenths, but I can set it to fifths. That's kind of weird though, because I feel like if I did. Okay, you know what? That probably was fifths, because the way this thing, I just realized the way this thing measures that is like one step. So it, you know, a perfect fifth is actually, how many notes is that between a 1 and a 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, that is a perfect fifth, I guess. Because I noticed when I put it to fifths, it was actually playing it's playing a fourth. I think on the Lonely Hearts preset, he was using a couple of different pitch controls. We've got I know there's a preset on Helix for Owner of a Lonely Heart. And you can check that out on the custom tone. And there's also probably a tone template somewhere on line6.com where you can go check that out and see. But yeah, I think there's a fifth in there for sure. And then, you know, you got it, like, it's a pretty cool preset. Something like that. I don't know how to play Owner of a Lonely Heart. But yeah, that octave is definitely there in that tune. Hello, France. Hello from Tennessee. Anyway, so yeah, there's oh yeah, and you had mentioned Cristiano, you had mentioned playing like chords. You know, I wouldn't really use chords with this. Sounds pretty cool though. Yeah, so there's a little triad. That sounded pretty nice. I like that. So yeah, that is confusing. How, you know, when you're thinking theory, like I want to set it to a perfect fifth, but you put it on 5, and they don't measure the intervals in fifths or whole steps. It's like you know, it's all half step intervals. So I guess, you know, obviously like an octave would be 12, and so on and so forth. Which I guess you think that I don't ever even think about an octave interval. I think of it as being the same, but. You know, you can go. But, you know, if I'm going to use this, I'm probably going to do this. I'll use them sometimes to go down an octave. can't do, let's see, you can't do a drop D with the simple pitch because you're still, now you can tune the whole thing down a whole step. So let's see, let me fix this back to 0. And then I guess you would turn the mix all the way up. And there you go. You can have the whole thing down to D, but it's going to be standard tuning. Which also sounds pretty freaking cool. So yeah, there's a fun with the pitch shift control. And I did all of that inside the mid-gain Prog. So you guys go to the custom tone page, download that preset. And like I said, check out what overdrive pedal I was using because I don't remember. I may have thrown a different overdrive pedal on this back in the day when I first made this preset. So yeah, that could be. Let's see, that could be a different one than you're currently hearing. But all you got to do is jump over to the Horizon drive and put that in there. If you like that, you may like something else, like a Tima. I keep reaching for my whammy bar, but it's not here today. Oh no. Anyway, guys, hope y'all, yeah, get a Variax, John, like you said there. Get a Variax, and, oh, sorry, wrong one. Thanks, Steve Bannon. I appreciate the kind words. And yeah, I was going to say, John Day had a point there. Get a Variax. Drop D and turn off a knob. Or turn of a knob, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you can do that with the Variax. With, you know, there's a couple of ways of doing it. But yeah, with a simple pitch, you can't just tune down to an alternate tuning. You need some sort of individual pickup for each string, which the Variax has, or some sort of synth altogether. So anyway, there's that. But hey, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to sign up for our Skype lessons, our one-on-one learning with Line 6 one-on-one sessions. I say Skype, it doesn't have to be Skype, but there's a couple of ways we use to do them, whatever you guys prefer. But you know, go make sure you go sign up for those. Give me a follow on Instagram, please. I would appreciate that. Tony Camponovo. And yeah, with that, I'm gonna pack up for the day, and I'm driving to Texas for the weekend. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you again real soon. Adios.